Welcome back to the Transfer Portal CFB. My name is Dan Keegan. You can find me on Twitter at Keegs.com. Make sure to go ahead and give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a follow, rate us on iTunes, all that good stuff. So, what I am here with you today is for the Sun Belt 7. What I'm going to do here is wrap up all the action in the Sun Belt. It's the most underrated conference going in college football right now. It's easily the most exciting group of 5 conference. What I'm going to do is I'm going to recap all the action from the week from the Fun Belt in 7 quick hitting minutes. All right, so let's put 7 minutes on the clock because it is time for the Sun Belt 7. Go. First up, we had 2 Sun Belt teams that took on FCS squads. Marshall, they played with their food a little bit. Eventually, they did pull away from Gardner-Webb. Remember, Gardner-Webb did give Coastal Carolina a little bit of a score early in the year. So, little Sun Belt scheduling for Gardner-Webb. But it was another huge day for Kalen LeBourne on the ground for Marshall. 191 yards, 2 scores. He's been a monster in Rasheen Ali's stead while Ali's been away. Hopefully he's in a good spot and can return to the field soon. It'd be nice to see that 2-headed attack. And then also Appalachian State finally played just a normal game of college football. No crazy endings, no game day, no national attention. Just a nice, easy, comfortable 49-0 win over the Citadel. Nate Noel hurt in the opener against UNC. He tried to give it a go last week against James Madison, but did not play in this one. So hopefully Noel can rest up and be available for the stretch run, and we hope to see him back. All right, we had 3 games of the Sun Belt versus other FBS schools. You had Old Dominion. Liberty came to town. That did not go well for the Monarchs. Liberty's got a pretty dang solid defense right now. They were able to control the game 38-24, but they could not control Allie Jennings. Another huge game for the West Virginia transfer, 119 in the score. He is a beast, one of the best receivers in the Sun Belt, but, I'm sure he would trade that line for a win. So, tough loss there for Old Dominion. Georgia State finally got up the schneid. They went up there to Army. That's always a tough matchup to go against the Service Academy, flexbone offense. But West Point, it's a beautiful stadium there, Mechie Stadium, beautiful scene, upstate, in the fall, on the river. But Georgia State's defense, that was the real thing of beauty here. A lot of bend but don't break action. They kept Army from scoring on multiple drives that went into the red zone. A couple turnovers as well. This one was close. It was 17-14, about 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Georgia State then had 3 consecutive plays. They had a 57-yard touchdown pass, bam, interception of Army, bam, 56-yard touchdown run. Final score 31-14. A lot of action there in the last 3 minutes for Georgia State. That 1-4 record is not pretty for the Panthers, but that's a dangerous team that nobody wants to see on the schedule. The biggest non-conference game of the week, though, was Troy and Western Kentucky. That was actually maybe the biggest game in the entire college football slate between group of 5 teams. This one was a humdinger, right? It was back and forth all night. It was tied 20 going into the fourth quarter. Troy quarterback Gunnar Watson, who's been pretty solid all year, actually. He got hurt, and in came backup Jarrett Deggy. Deggy transferred to Western Kentucky in the offseason after a couple years in Morgantown with West Virginia. He didn't win the job there at Western Kentucky. Austin Reed beat him out. So Deggy transfers to Troy in it was mid to late August. So obviously you're not going to waltz in mid-August and win the quarterback job. So he's been behind Watson. Watson goes down. Deggy comes in the fourth quarter tie game, 7 of 8, 2 touchdowns. He gets a huge win. Troy gets a huge win. The Sun Belt gets a huge win. So shout out Deggy there. 34-27 was the final score. It's going to be interesting to see how that quarterback room is handled there going forward for Troy. If Watson's injury, hopefully it's not serious. So a storyline there to keep an eye on. Carlton Marshall, another 12 tackles for Troy. He is a machine. He is now top 10 all-time in tackles, in FBS career tackles. So just continue to climb up that leaderboard. He'll be number 1 in all-time FBS tackles by the end of this season. All right, we had 4 games in the league slate this week. Arkansas State, big win over UL Monroe, 45-28. Big matchup there about who stays out of the Sun Belt West Cellar. That's the 13th time in a row that Arkansas State has beaten ULM. So Johnny Lang Jr. Ran for a touchdown, caught a touchdown, and returned a kickoff for a touchdown for Arkansas State. So they stay out of the bottom of the division. Speaking of the Sun Belt West Cellar, that's where you can usually find Texas State. And again, looks like it might be the same this year. They went up to James Madison. Chilly, rainy day up there in the remnants of Hurricane Ian in the Blue Ridge Mountains. They lost to the league newcomers, James Madison. The Dukes are 4-0. They have maybe the best defense in the league. They have a nice multiple offense. They can beat you in the air. They can beat you on the ground. Todd Centeio is just running a clinic there at quarterback. James Madison was pitching a 19-0 shutout at halftime. They cruised to a 40-13 win. 40-13. Kurt Cignetti's outfit, they've been unbelievable this year in their transition to FBS. It's going to be fascinating to watch them climb the ranks and the polls maybe, get ranked soon, and watch in the analytics ratings too, see how they grade going forward. So, yeah. In the game of the week in the West, we had the ascendant South Alabama Jaguars. They drove a stake through the heart of the reigning king of the hill in the West, Louisiana. South Alabama won 2017. Michael Desormeaux, the new head coach in Louisiana, he's been kind of rotating his quarterbacks back and forth all year. Ben Woolridge got the majority of the snaps in this one. Chandler Fields tried to play through an injury, and he really couldn't. They're just searching for answers right now in Lafayette. Stud running back Chris Smith got hurt late in the fourth. You hate to see that one. So he's been their bell cow. It's been a tough year for Desormeaux taking over for Billy Napier. But how about Kane Womack and his Jaguars? Year 2. If JMU doesn't have the best defense in the league, then South Alabama definitely does. One of those two. So they held the Raging Cajuns to only one touchdown. The other was a punt return. But the Jaguars are 4-1 overall. They have the inside track now in winning the division. This is only their 13th year as a football program. They can't even legally drive yet, and they might go ahead and win the division. So big things happening there. In the East, we had a shootout between Coastal Carolina and Georgia Southern. Grayson McCall was unbelievable. What's really obvious is that this 2022 Chanticleers team, it's a worse overall roster than some of their previous years, especially on defense. But, man, they have a bona fide NFL talent at quarterback. McCall is incredible, 34-30 shootout. He was dropping dimes. He led 3 different touchdown drives in the fourth quarter. So, incredible day for Grayson McCall. Props to Georgia Southern, though, for their quick turnaround in year 1 under Clay Helton, especially offense. But this story is all about Cardiac Coastal, again winning a nail-biter. The play of the game, maybe the play of the week, maybe even the play of the year in the Sun Belt was Coastal running back C.J. Beasley. He broke off a 24-yard touchdown run with under a minute to go to win it, and he capped it off with an incredible open field hurdle around the 5-yard line as he went in for the win. It's the Myrtle Hurdle, folks. It is the play of the year for Cardiac Coastal. And that gets us to 7 minutes. All right. The game of the week is Troy beating Western Kentucky. Huge win out of conference for the league. Player of the week, we're going to say tie between Grayson McCall and Johnny Lang Jr. Big days for both of them. And the team of the week, let's go ahead and give it to South Alabama for taking the lead, beating the West Division bullies, Louisiana. All right. We're going to be back next week to wrap up week 6 in the Sun Belt. It's a little bit calmer next week. A lot of teams are on bye. But Georgia Southern and Georgia State do get together, so that could be interesting. And Southern Miss and Troy next week promises to be good. 2 West teams with pretty salty defenses, so I'm interested to see how that one goes. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Dan Keegan with Transfer Portal CFB. We'll see you next week for Week 6 in the Sun Belt South.